In this video, we are talking about a guilt-free goodbye. It is one of the chapters from the new book. I know that moving on is easier said than done, but sometimes it's necessary. It's just what you have to do. But that doesn't take away from the fact that we still experience separation anxiety and guilt and fear, all of the other stuff that comes along with moving on, a lot of times. So here it is. I'll just read a couple lines from the chapter for you. It's best sang by Gladys Knight. Neither one of us wants to be the first to say goodbye. How true this is in so many relationships. Sometimes arrangements turn sour and what we once loved becomes a burdened, toxic situation. Other times, which seem to be the hardest, we still love where we are, but need to move on to get something different. And I just want to stick a pin right there and lean in on that word different. I want to make sure that it's understood that sometimes moving on or doing something else is about doing something different, not so much about better. And a lot of times wherever we are or whoever we are attached to, whether it be a job situation, a relationship, a church home, a endeavor just community-wise or whatever the case may be, a lot of times whatever we move on from, you'll have people that internalize what you need to do for yourself and take it as if you are leaving them. And it's not that you're leaving them because they're not good enough or you're just trying to do something better or whatever the case may be. A lot of times it's because you just need to do something different. You need to do something else. There's something else calling you. I'll use a family business as an example. You might really have in your heart wanting to help the family business, but at some point you realize that you may not be equipped with the tools necessary to do so. You might not have the accounting skills that you need. You might not have the social skills or the public management, personnel management skills that are necessary. You might not understand the market enough. You might not have enough background on how to grow the business or scale the business, or you might have a desire or a vision for the family business that you want to take it to the next level or do something else, but you haven't been exposed to anything else and you need that opportunity to expand yourself so that you can come back and be a better asset to what you are a part of now. Well, it's still easier said than done because you don't want to disappoint anyone. You don't want anyone to be upset with you. You don't want anyone to fall out with you. You don't want anybody to hold grudges against you. You want to still hold on to those relationships. You may be afraid that, people are going to turn their back on you or stop talking to you or stop dealing with you. And it can be a hurtful thing because you still want to be connected to, to whatever you are a part of. You just don't want to do it at the expense of killing whatever that is inside you that longs for something more, something different, something else, okay? So I have broken this down into 5 steps. I don't know why I always end up with 5 steps of something, but whatever. Here we are with 5 steps again. And these are the 5 steps. The first one is finding out why you feel that you need to move on or do something different. The second one is give God some credit, and I'll go back through all of these. And number 3, make a decision. Number 4, communicate. And number 5, make the move. All right, let's go back to number 1. Okay, number 1, always find out why. Okay. So many times and way too often, we sabotage relationships that we, might need to hold on to because our lack of satisfaction with ourselves and the situation that we are in causes us to act out, slack off, or do things because we're unhappy that cause the relationship to head downhill. In other words, sometimes we stay too long and our attitude towards the work that we're doing changes. And the tenacity is gone, the fire, the passion, the drive is gone, and we're kind of on autopilot, which doesn't help anyone. It's a disservice to everyone involved, okay? And then you have times where you are responding to a temporary situation. So that's why you want to make sure you figure out why you feel like moving on or quitting something or doing something different, because you might not need to. You know, like everything doesn't require moving on. Some things just need some resetting. Sometimes you need to just step back away from the situation. You might be burnt out and maybe you just need a break. There are times where you might just be going through a rough patch in whatever is going on. It could be a relationship, a friendship, a marriage, a work situation, a church situation, a community project. You know, you might just be going through a tough time and you don't run every time something gets hard and something gets tough. So you want to take some time to figure out why you want to make that move, why you want to make that decision, because that's going to help you figure out if you're just going through a moment that has gotten rough, or if you really need to move on and do something different, okay? This is so important. This is one of the most important, if not the most important phase of moving forward, because you have to, absolutely have to be honest with yourself at this particular point, because you want to make sure that your intentions are right, that your heart is in the right place, that you are in tune spiritually, that you know that you're not making an emotional decision that's going to affect you long term, and that you're not responding emotionally to a temporary something that's just going to pass. Okay. All right. Number 2, give God some credit. Okay. I'm going to break down what I mean here. All right. Oftentimes you have a semblance of a God complex. And in your mind, you feel like you are staying put because you need to, because someone needs you to do something, or they need me to help them, or if I don't do it, it's not going to be done right, or it's going to fall apart, or I don't want to leave so-and-so hanging, or I would move on, but you know, he needs me. You know what I'm saying? I need to get out of this relationship, but he needs me. You know what I'm saying? Or the kids need this, you know what I mean? Or you'll stay at a job because you feel like, hey, you know, I don't want to abandon the project, or, you know, things are not going to be done properly if I'm not there. Listen, first of all, God wants you. He chooses you. He has chosen you to do different things, but he does not need you. Take some of that weight off of yourself. God is gonna take care of his business. He always does. He always will. You are not the only person that God is concerned about. God's not gonna let somebody else's project or vision or dream die because you move on or you do something different. God is always gonna look out for his business, and he always looks out for his children, all of us, every one of us, not just you. You are not the only person involved. Try to take yourself out of the situation and look at the big picture here and acknowledge the fact that there are many other pieces moving around. Consider the possibility that while you may think you're helping or holding something together, you might actually be the hold up, Jonah. You know, perhaps the reason why something isn't flourishing or moving forward is because you're out of place. Maybe you have overstayed your welcome. Perhaps something somewhere else is not moving as fast or as effectively as it could be because it's waiting on you to get there. What if, by chance, you are the one holding up God's operation? How long do you think he's gonna let you hold up his agenda before he moves you out of the way and finds somebody else that's willing to be obedient? that's willing to sit their pride and their fear aside and willing to step over their anxiety and jump out the boat and take a chance. Okay? Give God some credit here. Let's consider and acknowledge the fact that God is able and capable of doing things and getting things done and holding things together without you, whether you are there or not. Romans 8:28 says, all things work together for the good of them who love God and who are the called according to his purpose. You're not the only person that loves God. You're not the only person that's called. You're not the only person that has a God purpose. It's going to be all right. God's going to keep his business flowing. Things are going to move whether you are there or not. The difference is, are you going to accomplish your goal? Because God's going to accomplish his goal. Are you being a hindrance to what you are a part of? Give God some credit. Have some faith and some trust in him that no matter what decision is made, God is going to look out for whoever. He's going to look out for whoever you're moving on from or separating from, or just moving in a different direction. And he's going to look out for you as well as the people that you're headed to, whatever situation you're going to, whatever job, whatever business endeavor. Like, God is going to keep everything moving and working out for the good of them that love God and are the called according to his purpose. Number 3, make a decision. You're going to have to make a decision. And I'm not going to spend a whole lot of time on this one because it comes down to making your mind up. And while it is a difficult thing to do, it is a necessary thing to do. You're going to have to make your mind up. You're going to have to come up with a plan. You're going to have to set in your mind what direction you're going in. Now, I understand when you're walking by faith and not by sight that there may be a great deal of uncertainty there, but you are going to, if nothing else, you're going to have to make the decision to move, to get in motion, to do something different than what you're doing now. You're going to have to start setting those wheels in motion. You got to put the key in. You're going to have to turn it and get that engine going. You have to make a decision. The next thing you do after you make a decision, this is number 4, phase 4, okay? Very important. Oftentimes people skip over this. Don't skip over it. It is necessary because we are relational people. God has designed us to be in relationship. He has designed us for community, okay? Number 4 is communicate. You absolutely need to communicate with whatever the entity is. You need to communicate with whatever it is that you're moving on from, okay? Now, a lot of times people feel like they don't owe anybody any explanation. You might not owe anyone an explanation, but in most cases, it's right to offer an explanation, especially if you value the relationship that you have built with a person, with a business, with an organization, with a group of people, whoever it is. If you value that relationship, like, you don't want to just be out here burning bridges and just up and just take off. And because I had to make a decision, I got to do what I got to do for me. And like, it's a right way to do things. You need to have those hard conversations. Sit down with whoever you need to sit down with. Have that talk, have that heart to heart. Sit down and share with them where you are. Be honest about what it is that you want to do, whatever endeavor it is that you want to pursue. Have that conversation and say those hard things. Like, this is what I need to do. This is the decision that I have made. If you need to be clear about the grounds or the status of the relationship before you move on, do that. Take the time to be clear and say, listen, I don't have any hard feelings. I'm not upset. I'm not angry. We're not beefed out. I don't feel like things are falling apart. I don't feel like this is a terrible relationship. I don't think it's a terrible job. It's not a horrible church. I don't have any of those feelings. I just need to move on for me. And it is not in any way a slight to what I've gleaned here, what I've learned here, the development that has taken place. I'm grateful for all of that. You need to get your thank yous out. You need to show your gratitude. You need to take the time and have the hard conversations to say, listen, I did what I could. And you might even have to say, I could have done this better. I could have done that better, but my time is up here. And if I get an opportunity to in any way, I absolutely will, reach back or share what I've gleaned. I don't have a problem with doing this, this, and this, but I won't be able to do X, Y, and Z anymore because I have made a decision to do A, B, and C. Have that conversation. It's tough, it's difficult, it's complicated. Sometimes it comes with tears and hugs. Sometimes the person may not receive what you're saying at the moment, but if it's meant for you to still have that relationship, if it's meant for that bridge to still be intact, then you definitely want to do that and let time heal what it needs to heal. And somewhere down the line, if nothing else, that person will have to have respect. And there may even still be love there for you because they'll be able to say, you know what, they came to me, they did what they had to do, they made a decision for themselves, they moved on, they didn't wreck the house, they didn't tear up the business, they didn't speak bad on my name, they didn't destroy everything before they left, they didn't try to get other people to leave too so they could feel better about leaving. Like, don't be messy, don't make it complicated. Have your morals and your integrity in place, have good character about it, sit down, have the conversation with who you need to communicate with, and be done with it. And when you move on, be done. Don't go back and forth and have a whole bunch of other conversation, and you don't have to dog where you came from because you're going somewhere, new. Have that good, clean communication while you're in the midst of doing something different. Here's the last thing. Make the move. Go ahead and do it. Follow through. Don't go through all of this trouble and then don't follow through. Because now you just wasted everybody's time. You've had these conversations for nothing. You've stressed yourself out and had all this anxiety and sleepless nights, and you've written out a list of your pros and cons before you made a decision. You've been itching God's ear with your prayers and, oh God, what should I do and lead me in the right direction, and what are my steps? After you do all of that, you need to follow through. Go ahead and start moving in that direction, and you should be able to, at this point, get to your next place and not waste that opportunity, not sabotage your new relationships, and you should be able to go forward a whole lot lighter because you took time to be sure on why you made this, why you wanted to do what you did. You took time to make a decision. You made sure that it wasn't an emotional decision. You have the faith and the trust and the peace of mind because you know that God is going to cause everything to work out for good. You've done the communication. You've walked away with clean hands. And then you made the decision to follow through. At that point, you should be able to experience a guilt-free goodbye. Good luck.